Hey gang, Rodney here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of Sports Saturday. It's the AFC Championship game here in Season 2 of Sega Sports NFL 2K2 for the Sega Dreamcast, as we are trying to establish the New England Patriots dynasty of the 2000s without the existence of one Tom Brady. And we are one step away from our second straight trip to the Super Bowl, but we got to go through the then, in 2002, San Diego Chargers, who got past the Jacksonville Jaguars 42-35 in the divisional round. As you see, we blanked the Miami Dolphins 31-0, thanks to a surprising running attack that we were able to put together with Kevin Falk as opposed to J.R. Redmond, our starting halfback, who is out for the rest of the playoffs with a torn hamstring. The winner of this game will go on to face either the Rams or the Vikings for another Lombardi Trophy. So without further ado, let's get cracking. It's just a friendly reminder, in 2002, your then San Diego Chargers went 8-8, finished third in the AFC West, and did not qualify for the playoffs under then head coach, the late great Marty Schottenheimer. It was one of the last years of Marty Ball, and also it was the last year that they would have the late great Junior Seau, Hall of Fame linebacker, in their defensive core, along with Rodney Harrison, who would leave at the end of the season to come to New England. And of course, Seau finished his career with the Patriots before tragically passing away a couple of years after that. But it will all be about what we can do with Drew Bledsoe and this offense, which we had good luck with, like I said last week, in blanking the Dolphins. But you can put 42 points up in the playoffs, you're doing something pretty well. So I don't expect that the Bolts are going to be anywhere near as kind to us. The question is going to be, who's going to be their starting quarterback? Will it be the ageless one, Doug Flutie, who was their quarterback in our first meeting early on in the year, or are they going to swap it out for Drew Brees, who was still the quarterback on this team in 2002? This was pretty much the last year he was with the club before his shoulder issues led them to let him go. Of course, as history panned out, he could have gone to the Miami Dolphins and played under then head coach Nick Saban. Instead, he went to New Orleans, linked up with Sean Payton and the Saints, and became a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the best of his generation.
The Chargers are on the field and they are ready to start.
And it is Doug Flutie behind center. And LaDainian Tomlinson has number 38 though on his jersey, not his traditional 21. And LT only actually loses 3 yards on that run.
Sending the team back a few yards and their coach back to the drawing board.
Oh, he really yanked away any shot.
And if you're like me, you've spent the last 2 days watching the NFL draft. Now that the first 3 rounds are in the books. And trust me, we'll have plenty to talk about with that as this game goes along. So it goes from 2nd and 13 to 3rd and 5, thanks to the screen pass.
It's 3rd and 5.
See if we can hold Flutie from getting a first down here. They go back to Tomlinson, and he ends up a yard short.
Chargers are going to give away some great field position here, Dan.
Yeah, they're probably going to.
So they're going to have to punt it away after going 3 and out in their opening drive. That bodes well for us. Bennett will get a good punt away here. This will be taken right at the 20. Here comes Charles Johnson. And gets back up to about the 40. So we'll have good field position on a 20-yard return. And now we'll see what we can do on the offensive side of the ball. But like I said, I spent most of yesterday and a good part of this afternoon, which is why I was a little late getting the recording started on this, watching the first 3 rounds of the draft. We get it to Falk. Tries to kick to the outside, breaks 1 tackle, but not 2, and gets back to the line of scrimmage. And Rodney Harrison, the future New England Patriot, there on the stop.
Second and 10.
Say what you will about Rodney Harrison, but as a run defender, he was actually pretty damn good. And it helped that Junior Seau could sit there and patrol the middle and basically let Rodney do whatever he wanted. But not this time, as we rumble ahead and pick up the first down as Junior got the tackle. Speaking of tackles, looking at how the Patriots did in their first 4 picks of the draft, I can't argue too much with it, because if you're a Patriots fan like me, you understand the big thing that they needed to do was they needed to get supplemental players around quarterback Drake May. Defense has historically not really been the problem for New England. It's been their ability to generate offense. And shoring up the offensive line with Will Campbell as their first pick, it's funny how they were talking about, and I watched a really good interview with Hall of Fame Cleveland Browns player Joe Thomas earlier today, where he was talking about this and how the knock on a guy like Will Campbell is they said, well, his arms are like a half an inch too short. Well, if you look at how they measure the arms, it's from the armpit to the end of the fingers, and that's one thing, but that doesn't really impact the guy's ability to block or not, because everything they do is predominantly from the waist down. The last real point of contact is with the hands and the arms. So if the guy is able-bodied and is stout enough that he can handle moving laterally and keep a guy in front of him to keep him from getting to the quarterback, does it really matter that his arms might be a potential half inch shorter than what the norm is? I don't know. Then they picked up Trevion Henderson from the Ohio State as a running back in the 2nd round, and then picked up a wide receiver, Kyle Williams, in the 3rd round. And then at the end of the 3rd round, there was a whole bunch of trades, and they got Jared Wilson out of Georgia as a center. I'd like to see New England get some defensive players before the end of the draft. They've got no shortage of picks over the next the remaining 4 rounds. They've got 1 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, and 2 in the 7th.
You can't coach that. When a running back is in sync with his line like that, he can
But also watching the draft, there were a lot of guys who got taken off the board on the defensive side. A lot of edge rushers, a lot of linebackers, a lot of defensive backs I saw go, a lot of defensive tackles go. So they may not have a whole lot more there to mine from in terms of picking up guys who could be decent role players. But you never know. Once you get into the middle rounds, as Falk's still barreling ahead. He's already picked up 32 yards on the ground so far on this drive alone. You just never know what sort of opportunities you're going to get from guys in the lower parts of the draft. And of course, the most obvious one of that is pick 199 back in the 2000 draft of one Sir Thomas Matthew Bartholomew Brady IV, who changed the entire league. And we find Lucas, and he's got a touchdown. So Kevin Falk helped set the table by grounding and pounding us into Charger territory, but then Drew Bledsoe was able to get one strike, rolling out, going over the top of the defender. And actually, it was a linebacker we beat to get that to Rafael Lucas, and we are on the board 6-0 with the extra point coming up. Now, the big headline from the draft, obviously, if you've been watching it, is what has happened with Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado and the son of course, Hall of Famer and Colorado coach Deion Sanders, who did not get drafted at all in the first 3 rounds. He was considered, before the draft, to be a surefire lock to go in the top 5, if not the top 10. Maybe at worst top 20. And nobody even took a sniff on him. In fact, the big surprise was that 3 more quarterbacks got taken off the board by teams that were needing somebody like Shedeur Stevens and didn't take him. Now, I am Mel Kiper Jr., I am not. Nor do I pride myself on it, nor do I suggest in any way, shape, or form that I am. So, you know, I can't give you any rhyme or reason on why it is that he has necessarily fallen that far. What I do know is that, and it bears out over the decades I have watched NFL football and watched the NFL draft. And I've always had a very keen interest in the draft because I'm always interested in how players are evaluated, what talent is there. And there's Doug Flutie being patented Doug Flutie right there at the end of the quarter. Roll out, buy time, buy time, buy time. Try and get us to bite on a pump fake and then find a receiver downfield. Well, we still lead 7-0 to the first quarter. Anyway, getting back to the draft, you know, I'm sure over the next 12 hours there's going to be a myriad of speculative takes and hot takes and stone cold takes on why it is that Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted. Honestly, my thought was if any team was going to take him, I figured it was likely going to be Pittsburgh. Only because Pittsburgh got rid of Russell Wilson, they got rid of Justin Fields, and they're sitting there waiting on whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to come play football again. And if I'm the Steelers, and I am, but even as much as I am a diehard Patriots fan, I've always had a soft spot for the Steelers. I was holding on the Chargers, but Tomlinson got no gains, so I'm inclined to take the loss down and go for 3rd and 11 and hope they don't convert here.
I would have taken that penalty faster than, say, the last cherry Danish on the breakfast cart.
Ball at the 45-yard line.
But if you're waiting on a 40-plus-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who is far more Aaron Rodgers Jets than he was Aaron Rodgers Packers, and you don't have a backup plan outside of a guy like Mason Rudolph, and I'm not knocking Mason Rudolph, but if you have the option of going and getting a young quarterback who could potentially be somebody who can fill that void for the next 3 to 5 years, which is the length of the average rookie contract, and a guy like Shedeur Sanders is out there, why don't you take a flyer out on him in the 2nd or 3rd round when he was available? And everybody was waiting to see what the Steelers were going to do, and they did not take it. And that you had guys like, who was it? It was Tyler Seau going to New Orleans. Dylan Gabriel got drafted. Was it Jamil Monroe from Alabama got drafted? He's going to Seattle. Now, there were a lot of people that were sitting there watching the draft going, wow, okay. What is this? What are the indicators telling people that Shedeur Sanders doesn't deserve to go that high? I have no idea. I have no idea at all. And it's going to be one of the really fascinating questions going into the season, depending on where he ends up. Do I think he's going to get drafted on Saturday? Yeah. If he goes and ends up being an undrafted pick, that will be one of those that will be talked about for a really, really long time. Even more so than if he gets drafted in the later rounds. And again, I don't have a ready answer for why he didn't go. But I also expect that teams that passed on him repetitively, if he goes and does what people think he's capable of doing, you know, it's all the people who in hindsight look at Tom Brady and go, well, yeah, I would have taken him, realizing it was Tom freaking Brady. Yeah, but you didn't. You passed on him until he fell to the 199th pick. You took 6 quarterbacks ahead of him. You took a guy named Giovanni Carmazzi and a guy named Spurgeon Wynn ahead of Tom Brady. How did they turn out? So, you know, an exact science, it absolutely is not. And this I know, having spent enough time being around NFL teams. Oh, we got that Detroit Brown. How did we get that ball there in time? Pressure was coming. We had to float it into coverage, and Troy went and got it. What a catch. We needed that. Whew, that was close. And we're going to close out on the 2-minute warning. But anyway, you know, I've talked with enough scouts in various sports over the years that I worked in media that you would think that some of them genuinely just have a dartboard or are literally throwing names at a wall on Post-its to truly see what sticks. And it doesn't make any logical sense. And one of the things I always love is if you ever, the Dan Patrick Show does this, where they'll have guys on and they will have them read just the downside of their draft prospect report. Because every player who gets drafted gets one. And they have the pros and they have the cons. And watching guys like a Drew Brees or, you know, I think they had Aaron Rodgers do it. You know, he's had guys over the years go and do this and read their report out loud to see what people said about it. And you see how much it pisses them off. And we get the Johnson in triple coverage touchdown. Pressure was coming again. Drew had to get rid of it in a hurry. We floated that ball in there between triple coverage and threaded the needle. Sometimes it is truly better to be serendipitous in this game than proficient. And the point after is good with under 90 seconds to go. It's 14-0 New England. 8 plays, 70 yards, and 2 minutes, 50 seconds, capped by the 16-yard catch by one Charles Johnson.
Lines up for the kickoff.
And for the record, that is not the same Charles Johnson who played for the Detroit Lions. We do not have Megatron on this team. You have to remember, this was 2002. And if I remember right, Charles Johnson got drafted a couple years later by Detroit.
The Chargers will start out at the 20.
All right, see what Doug Flutie can do here. That ball got knocked down at the line. Gardner got a big old pop to swat it away, and it'll be 2nd and 10.
Ball on the 20.
Out of the shotgun, Tomlinson to his left. Here comes the pressure, but it's caught and out of bounds immediately. No, they're going to say he stepped out as he caught it.
Solid catch, Dan, but
so make it 3rd and 10.
Well, the defense got a bit of a break there because he had that football.
He sure did. That was some eagle-eyed officiating.
He did, but he's got to have both feet down in the NFL. It's not college where 1 foot in counts. And that time just got completely dropped it. So they go 3 and out again. And this is not the time for San Diego's defense to stall out. They need points. We're going to get the ball to start the second half because we kicked it away to open the game. And Johnson turns on the juice a little bit and gets up close to midfield. So we got 1 minute, 6 seconds, and 3 timeouts to try and make this a 3-score lead. If I can get 6 points, I'll be really happy with it. If I have to go for 3, I'll go for 3. But let's at least matriculate the ball into Charger territory. And we do in a big... Oh, we lost the football, but Matt Light picked it up. Whoo, we got lucky there. Kevin Falk coughed up the football, but fortunately we had the presence of mind to be situationally perfect and prevent a turnover. But in engineering parlay, that's a moment that recalls for checking the structural integrity of one's pants. Oh, and Drew got poleaxed. We need to call a timeout here, as that took us out of field goal range.
24 seconds on the game clock.
So you got 24 seconds on the clock. 2nd and 17. We get Troy Brown, and he's got it, and we'll call another timeout here with 18 seconds. We got one timeout. We are now back in field goal range, but I want to get a little bit closer.
The clock is down to 18.
All right, so it'll be 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. We go to Lucas. He's got it, 1st down. And now we're at the 5-yard line with 12 seconds to go. Do I try for the touchdown? Why not?
12 seconds on the game clock.
And Falk will go around the corner, put it in, touchdown. So we managed to go all the way in for 6. And we'll hit the locker room with a 3-possession lead over the Chargers. Show me your lightning bolt. And we'll get the ball to start the second half. Except we shanked the point after because I completely yipped it. I did not mean to do that. We go 5 plays, 51 yards in 56 seconds, capped by the 5-yard touchdown run by Kevin Falk.
Too many of those missed outside of your kids' pee-wee football games, maybe.
And then at least the kicker's shoe usually goes through the uprights.
So this will go all the way towards the back of the end zone. They're likely going to take a knee and bring it out to the 20, and they do. And I expect with 8 seconds to go, no, they're going to try and go, they may try and fire it downfield.
Clock is down to 8.
Now the shotgun with Thompson to his left. Flutie's going to try for a, maybe a Hail Mary here? Nope. They tried to run the draw play. We read it perfectly.
They hang tough and don't.
So with that, we hit the locker room.
It's all about perseverance, Dan.
And we get the ball back. We're up 20-0. We've held the Chargers to -2 rushing yards, only 34 passing yards. All right, so we get the ball to start the second half. And Edwards will bring him back out. And we only get back up to about the 20. So now we're in clock killing mode. So as long as Kevin Falk doesn't cough it up again and we get a potential turnover, we can put a few more points on the board, we'll be in good shape. Threads the needle there, and now he's closed down 100 yards already on 14 carries.
On the 28.
So it's 2nd and 2. I'm looking for just a little quick completion to move the chains, take a little bit of pressure off of Falk. We find Troy Brown. He's got it 1st down. This is feeling way too easy. And again, we're playing on standard difficulty, so You know, I'm taking what they're giving me, but oh, picked off. I knew, I was like, man, there's got to be a point where they're going to have to come back and bite me. And I just let that pass sit out there too long, and Cody picked it right off.
Then wrote his own version called See Me Intercept.
Well, now the Chargers get the ball back at midfield. They still trail 20-0, and they got to put points on the board on this drive. If we can hold them, then they may not get many more opportunities to get back into this game. And Thompson puts him into New England territory for, I believe, the first time today. But still 2nd and 6.
Ball on the 46.
That's all they get. That's all they get. We got one right. Go! Set! Round! Yo, yo! Get him! Round!
And this time, the spin move by Garner and just planted Thompson in the backfield for a loss of 3.
That is an airtight defense.
Needed that.
They're letting a wishful thought get past the line of scrimmage.
I think they're even driving them back a bit, Peter. That is great D.
Yeah, you know, it's moments like this that test your
Like I
resolve.
said,
Will this
the
offense
Patriots'
rise
bread
to
and
the
butter
challenge?
for the last 25 years, as great as the offense was under Brady,
Barely gets it off.
was the defense. That the defense would bend, but ultimately not break.
The Patriots have found
And
the
that it went
secret
from
formula
2nd and
for
6 to
success
4th and
on
12,
run
and
on
now
the
they're going to have to
pass.
punt it
Well,
away
both
as that
have
drive
been
stalled
great
out
today,
again.
Peter. I don't see what other options they've left their opponents.
You know, in real life, I'm hoping if if Mike Vrabel is as good a defensive mind as everybody believes that he is, and as he went and played under Bill Belichick for the majority of his career, so what better tutorial could you, and education could you have gotten?
Comes in and makes the tackle on the return.
Then it will be a question of seeing what he does with the parts he has if they don't end up adding anything more through this draft.
And hard.
The Patriots are on the field after the punt. They're up 20-0.
But the other team that I'm really curious about and what they're doing is Detroit.
Stops that play before it got
We went to Edwards on that one. The fullback loses to. Not what I wanted.
Carlos Polk is really causing some headaches for his team, Dan. He shut down that play like Elliott Ness closing down a Chicago speakeasy.
All at the 14-yard line.
All right, now Falk is back in as the tailback. And now they're all converging on him.
That's the second in a row. A couple of nice defensive plays there.
John Homachek really shined on that play, stopping them cold.
So now it's 3rd and 14. We need a first down here.
They all did what they were supposed to, which left room for
And Damian Woody just completely hosed us with yet another false start that backed us up 5 more yards.
Number 65 on the offense. 5 yards.
Damian Woody got a little jump there, and he draws the false start call.
So now that completely hoses us in terms of what we're looking to do.
And they're playing pretty clean ball here. They have
And we're
relatively
inside our
few penalties,
10.
and that tells us one thing. They're focused in on this game. Everybody's playing as a team.
85.
And swatted down as we were looking for Raphael Lucas. And of course, they were playing prevent defense to make sure there was no available options in the vertical game. So we're going to have to punt this one away, and we're going to have to do it from inside our end zone. So it could not have gone much worse
Punt here.
on this drive if you paid for it. And we're promptly looking at a tale of 2 halves here where we dominated the first, and now we're really struggling to get anything going in the second.
80 makes the stop.
But we're still holding position, and we've got a 20-0 lead with 1:44 to go in the third.
Can hang on to the football this time.
But this is arguably the best field position the Chargers are going to get all game, hopefully, barring the highly improbable.
20-0. Throws right. It's caught sideline.
And again, the rollout by Flutie found somebody downfield, and then a first down inside our red zone at the 13-yard line.
Ball on the 12.
They're marking it to 12. So now they're definitely in field goal position. And they pick up 5 more.
A gain of 5.
Who is it that they have as the fullback on this team? It's Fred McCrary, the fullback du jour.
Ball at the 7-yard line.
But more importantly, the clock is still ticking down here. And Thompson makes it 3rd and 3 as Lawyer Malloy there on the tackle, his 3rd of the day. But now we're definitely in bend, don't break mode.
It's 3rd and about 3.
Oh, lost the football! We pick it up and now we're moving downfield.
45.
And it's Gardner, the defensive tackle. Can he make it all the way to the end zone? 1 man, 2 men to beat. He's down at the 15. Are you kidding me?
Out on top again with their second fumble recovery of the game.
And that was a clean fumble. Who got the hit?
But it takes real football smarts to cause them and also be the
I think that was Teddy Bruschi, and then the big fella rumbling downfield. So with 5 seconds to go, the tables have completely turned. Flutie coughed up the football on the clean sack. Oh, and now we lose the football. But Damian Woody manages to save it again for us.
They lead 20-0.
As we have finally hit the 4th quarter. So everybody's getting fumbleitis now. Falk's got it twice. We've got lucky both times. Flutie coughed up the football once, and we almost ran it back for a touchdown.
Look at how well they rush the ball. The offensive
And that makes it 3rd and 5.
complete sync, really showing the other teams how to run the ball effectively.
Ball at the 10-yard line.
Yo, Drew! You better watch out, 'cause here I come.
Throws left.
We find Troy Brown, and he's got it down at the 1.
Nice play.
We needed that.
Let's see if they can
Now we just need to punch it in. Gets off the first hit and manages to fall into the end zone for 6 more. So that may very well be the dagger right there. And instead of going for the field goal, I'm going to go for it because we shanked the point after the first time, or the last time.
They're going for 2.
And at the very worst, it'll still be 26-0. And we take it in, and that makes it a full 28-0.
Aggressive, seat-of-your-pants football, opting to drive it in for 2 extra points.
4 plays, 15 yards, and 44 seconds with the touchdown run by Falk. So it's 28-0 now, barring the highly improbable. We may have our ticket back to the Super Bowl well and truly punched.
Lines up, signals, and we're ready for the kickoff.
I mean, Doug Flutie pulled off many a miracle in his illustrious NFL and football career, as well as his college career, but
Let's listen to the call.
this may be asking a little bit too much. And holding against the Bolts. This one will accept because it brings it back to their 15-yard line.
Must have known he was going to lose him and got too aggressive, drawing the holding call.
Ball on the 15.
Go! I don't think so. Set! Green! 22!
Prairie the tailback.
Oh, Dan, look at how much
And
more
this one incomplete. Nobody home.
Credit's got to go to the DBs who are playing some of the best football they've ever played.
Ball at the 15-yard line.
Jumbo left! Pick out! Wide right! Go! Set!
I'm amazed Gardner is in the game after that fumble return. Oh, and Ty Law with a serious lick on LaDainian Tomlinson. Dropped him for a loss of a yard on a perfect form tackle. That's a Brian Dawkins special right there.
It's 3rd and 11.
Right, Ryan, backwards! Easy! Win! Go! Green! 49! Green!
Barely gets it off.
And that one almost picked off Ted Johnson in the vicinity. If he'd been able to get that interception, that may have been a walk-in for 6 more.
They're flicking away both receivers and running backs like they were houseflies.
Bennett will punt.
So now Bennett's going to have to punt it away with 3:40 to go.
Nice punt.
We'll take this at our 36-yard line. Here comes Charles Johnson. Breaks one tackle across midfield, getting pinballed around and then dropped.
The Patriots
It'll be 1st and 10 at the San Diego 46-yard line.
Any signs of weakness.
The Patriots are on the field after the punt. They're up 1-8.
We've got 3.5 minutes to go, so really I want to get as much time off the clock on this drive as I can. Still want to get points on the board. And that's the most telling stat right there, is that the second half, the defense just clamps down on the rushing attack. We had 82 yards in the first half. We've only managed 15 in the second.
Ball at the 42.
A Shakespearean scholar I am not, but something be rotten in ye old Denmark.
You can see how the numbers have dropped off here. The defense is
So we have 13 carries for 82 yards in the first half, 7 carries for 19 yards in the second. All right, so we got 3rd and a short 4. We find Charles Johnson again as Drew threaded the needle. Tight window to fit that ball in, but we managed to find him just before the 2-minute warning.
Crucial if they can pick up the rush like that. Once he has enough time,
And it moves the chains. We're down at the San Diego 30.
Downfield.
great job.
It's 1st and 10.
And our own guy ran into us and backed us up 2 yards. We were moving upfield.
A gain of 2.
And we got thumped, and then we only ended up with a 2-yard gain.
Serving up a shutout.
But we managed to hit the 2-minute warning, so that stopped the clock. Gave everybody a quick breather. Break one tackle, break another tackle. Can't break a third tackle, but it's again 3rd and 4.
It will be 3rd down. 3rd and 4.
No chance you gotta move it. That's your only hope. Right out left.
All right, so we can pick up another 1st down and let as much time burn off the clock before we snap the ball here as we can. So we'll be down around a minute to go. And if we can manage the 1st down or force San Diego to burn timeouts, so they're going to want to start to use them. Because I know where I'm going, and it looks like I've got the coverage on it. All right, here we go. And swatted down incomplete. All right, so 4th and 4, but we're in field goal range because we're at the 25-yard line. So we'll bring Adam on. This will be a 42-yarder? Yeah, 42-yarder. And hopefully I don't completely botch this one like I did that point after, which was just appallingly bad. right down the pipe. All right, we'll make it 31-0 with 1:07 to go, and that may be very well the last points we require in this contest.
Back to kick it away. Nice kickoff.
Be taken right at the goal line.
McNeil catches it.
Here comes McNeil. Hurdles one man, but not two.
Stops the return man in his tracks and makes the tackle.
The Chargers would definitely like to score here. There's not enough time.
All right, well, 1:02 to go.
We'll start out.
And this game all but officially over. Let's see what Flutie can do. We have to pretty much just run prevent defenses to keep him from going too far downfield.
Dan, I'm not getting why that wasn't a completion. I mean, he was right there.
Well, some days you get the bear, and some days
The bear gets you.
Oh yeah, you've heard that.
Yeah.
Make it 2nd and 10 at the 25-yard line.
Well, as you can see here.
And
his
that one
completion
incomplete.
numbers
It's Flutie
is
3 of 11 for
really
56 yards on the day.
Third and 10.
See if we can pick it off here. They're going to run an I formation on 3rd and 10. And the screen pass goes nowhere. Loss of 4.
Really put a clamp on any offensive production whatsoever.
We're going to go ahead and punt it away. And Charles Johnson, who's got 5 returns for 81 yards already, will try for a 6th return today, provided they get this punt off in time. And they do. So we'll take it at our 32-yard line.
The 30, 45.
And again, our own guy backs us up.
Makes the tackle on the return.
But we got 26 seconds on the clock.
Nice starting point for this drive. The special teams gave them decent field position.
And I'm just inclined to take a knee here because we will have enough time run off the clock that we can call it good. So now we will move on to the Super Bowl, where we will face either the Rams or the Vikings. And I'll be curious to see which one we got.
7 seconds to go.
As the final seconds tick off here in Foxboro, and that is that. We are back-to-back AFC champions, having shut out the Chargers by the same score we shut out the Dolphins, 31-0. So, with that squared away, and we get this little celebratory moment, confirming that we are indeed the champions of the American Football Conference. We will face the Minnesota Vikings, who boat raced the Rams 56-42. My goodness. As if the Chargers-Jags game wasn't a high-scoring affair. Two teams showed up and left their defenses back in the garage. Wow. But okay, it'll be the Pats and the Purple People Eaters to decide who will get the Lombardi Trophy in the next episode. And that, everybody, is Sports Saturday for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you've been enjoying the content on the channel, you know how to show up by now. Also, remember, we will have Sucker Punch Sunday coming up tomorrow, where we play a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. Also, be sure to check out the return of our one-day playthroughs, where we play a game from the days of yore that you can finish maybe in an hour, maybe in a day. But it's a self-contained time when games were not nearly the over-bloated epics that a lot of them are nowadays. And also WTF Wednesday, where we take a look at games that on paper seem like a good idea, but in reality, not so much. And I'm surprised I didn't get more blowback for having RC Pro-Am up as our last entry in that series last week, given the general consensus of how great that game was back when we were all kids in the 80s. I never said it was a bad game, My contention with it was that it could have been better if it hadn't been quite as bad mechanically and in how it was overall designed. We do have our plans for our next playthrough that will be coming up later on in the spring, probably towards the early summertime. We won't give away too much on it yet, but we have already picked out the title. You're just going to have to tune in and watch. Also, be sure to follow us on social media through Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Ronan's Arcade. It helps spread the word about us as we continue to build this channel, make it bigger and better. My name is Ronan. It's been great to spend this Sports Saturday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. We'll talk to you tomorrow for another episode of Sucker Punch Sunday. Bye.